All right. Welcome, everyone, to the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival. I want to thank the sponsors. I want to thank everyone that is joining us here on Cinesend and wherever you're watching Tallgrass this week. Just so happy to have everyone here with us. And thank you all for joining us, because without you, we couldn't do it. If you're enjoying yourself, please let everyone know on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you tag at Tallgrass Film and hashtag Tallgrass2020. I would like to thank and welcome our guests today. As you can see, I am wearing my thrift store windbreaker in honor of Thorp. We got the team from Thorp here today. I'm so happy to see all these smiling faces. So let's just, there's a bunch of people here. Let's just go around the room and I'll just have you introduce yourself and tell me a quick little bit about yourself. You want to start, Liz?
Sure. I'm Liz. I'm the producer, and what I really do is make wigs.
Sweet. That's awesome. All right. And we've got Dennis Donovan here.
I'm Dennis. I'm the director of the film, and when I'm not making movies, I'm teaching film. I currently teach film classes at Fairfield University.
Awesome. And Lucy's in the house.
Hi, my name is Lucy. I had the honor of getting to be in this film. And yeah, I'm an actor by trade. And usually when there's not a pandemic, that seems like a better choice than it is currently.
For sure. And welcome, Luis.
Hi, my name is Luis Vega. I played Junior in Thorp, and I'm real excited to be here, part of this festival, and
Totally.
your faces.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Oh, absolutely. No, thank you so much for being here. And last but very not least, we've got Walker.
Hi, my name is Walker. When I'm not doing movies, I'm usually in a pool, and so that sound is right there, or some kind of body of water. But sorry, that just
Where are you?
threw me for a loop. I'm currently in San Diego.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Very fancy.
Yes. Well, I can tell by the film that you love to be in and around bodies of water. So that's pretty on brand. It's very nice.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we got all the business out of the way. Thank you all so much for being here. I guess first things first, I mean, where did Thorp come from? I mean, besides outer space, obviously. Where did Thorp come from?
Well, all right, I'll jump in on this, and then you guys can chime in. But the outer space bit was definitely the last part to come into this project. I think early on we were looking. I think it's like three things really. Early on, we were trying to figure out a film that we could make cheap and maybe do it on and off over the course of a year. We didn't think it would take as long as it did, but that was sort of like our goals at the beginning. The second thing was Walker and I were really interested in this idea of having two characters who sort of were at a point in their lives where they needed to sort of hold each other hostage in a space and sort of hash something out, and then because of that move on with their lives. So that was like the very basic concept, right? And then it sort of spiraled and went into this wild alien thing. But early on, we shot this sizzle a couple of years ago. We shot this sizzle where Walker was just walking around a town, and we were just not a town, the city of Stamford, Connecticut, and he was just in this character that we didn't know. We hadn't created a character. We didn't really have a name yet for the character, but this character was just moving around town and being super weird and super strange. And we cut together this little sizzle reel and started sending it out to people. And people were like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who this person is, but I'm weirdly mesmerized by him and I can't stop watching him. So when we were sort of hearing that feedback, we're like, okay, maybe we're on to something with this character. And then the rest of it was just forcing Walker to lock himself into a room and start writing based on ideas that Liz had, or I had, or the other producers had, and it sort of morphed into into what we have now.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. So then what was the impetus then? You know, how does space come into it at the very end there? I mean, Walker, how did that work for you on the writing side of things?
Yeah, I think I was really like, you know, obsessed with the 80s and like growing up, like I was working on this film where I was working with these amazing two kids at this film, and they were so focused on set, and then in between takes that they would run off into a room and they just like run. I thought there was like the room was like filled with candy or something, because it was just like these kids were like, they couldn't wait to go to this room, and I was like, what the hell is going on in it? Like, what are they doing? And so eventually one time in between one of the takes, I went in there. I was like, hey, what's going on here? Where's the candy? And they were on their iPads. And so they were just so like plugged in. And I was like, oh my God, that's such a different way different way of growing up that I was not accustomed to. And so as we were talking about like, what would it be like who's someone's frame of reference is this magical time of the 80s with the neon and the thrift store jumpers that you're wearing, and all these things where technology was starting to become present, but it was much less so. And so what would it be like for someone to see the world through those eyes, the eyes of an innocent? And then from there, I was influenced by like films like Man Who Came to Earth with the very amazing David Bowie, and you know, all these other films. There's Being There with Peter Sellers, which is sadly very relevant today. You know, there's so many other like influences along the way. Edward Scissorhands, you know, with Johnny Depp, and like that whole fish out of water thing, we kind of like weaved the story around, and it made the most sense that he would be from outer space, that, you know, unless he was in like some sort of coma or something. But that kind of became like the impetus of how we could look at today's world through the eyes of an innocent from another time.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I have written here, this is a fish out of water comedy, drama, thriller, ... I mean, it's got everything. I just think that it's such an accomplishment for all of you, that this film it takes you so many different places. And so
yeah, definitely. I think like we jokingly say call it a comedic sci-fi fish out of water coming of age dramatic thriller, and I used to stop there, and now we've added love story at the end, dramatic thriller love story, and that was largely because of Lucy. One day when we were on set, we were talking, and she, I think it might have been when we were out in the water with a crew that day of maybe one. Dennis was the director, camera person, sound person, makeup. I think I was doing makeup that day, but I, you know, Lucy and I, in between takes at one point, I think she said, you know, this is also really a love story, and it hadn't dawned on me in that way, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, of course it is. We kind of just wanted to throw a bunch of genres on the wall like spaghetti, and hope that everyone can take something from the film.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's you know, just talking about how little crew and how many hats you have to wear. I mean, really fits with our whole mantra here at Tallgrass Film Festival, which is stubbornly independent, where it's just like you just got to make something, and you're going to do it on your own no matter what, and you're going to figure it out. So then you've got this story, you're writing it. So then, Liz, when do you make the turn from wig creator to producer? At what point did you come into the project?
Did I come into the mix? Walker sent me the script this summer. It was like, oh my gosh, it was like 2016.
We don't have to say years.
Oh, right. Years
don't
matter.
But it was the summer I was working in Colorado at a opera festival, and he sent me the script, and I read it, and I really liked it. And then I had moved back to New York, and Dennis and Walker just kept talking about doing Thorp, and when we do Thorp, and when we do Thorp. And I was just like, I'm tired of hearing about when we do Thorp. we're just gonna do Thorp. So I just like said, here's some money, not one clue of what I was doing. I wish someone had told me.
No one told you?
And so we just kind of started with some money, and we just kept going and going, and it has been a journey. But yeah, so they were like, we need things. We need a strip club. Okay, I'll get you a strip club. We need, you know, I remember one night just I was backstage at Wicked in New York on Broadway, and Dennis and Walker it was a moment of like, we're trying to figure out the Pauline, and it was a half-hour call. I'm literally like putting wigs on actors, and I'm in the hallway trying to have a conversation with them. I'm trying to figure out who Pauline is and what we were doing and who we were talking to. And then I would just stand backstage, like texting people, being like, are you available for makeup? Are you available to be a dancer in the strip club? Like, it was just, I don't know.
That's awesome. Speaking of Pauline, did she act like opposite Elvis or something?
Oh yeah.
Did I see? That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool.
She's a true gem. We met her 2 weeks before she showed up on set, and she actually didn't even read the script. She's like, just send me my scenes. I'll see the film when it's done. And the kiss with her and Thorp, spoiler alert, the kiss was, that was all her idea in the way it was done. And she said it was the exact same way she had kissed Elvis. So
you're Elvis.
Think
basically.
about it. Thorp kissed Elvis. Think about it. Yeah.
Mind blown. So, I mean, speaking of fantastic actors in this thing, you know, at what point, Lucy, do you come into the fold here?
Great question. I actually don't even know how to answer that, because time just probably never works very linearly for me, but like certainly in the time of COVID, like I just don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, I've known these guys for a while. And so, yeah, they hit me up, and I guess I just like the way I really like scrappy filmmaking, you know. I like these guys, and I like this way of working. Like I do a lot of TV where you as an actor are very sort of separate from the actual like fun, this sort of roll up your sleeves and get into it. And to me, this feels like the most pure form of like making something, you know, where it's like, we're friends, it's a skeleton crew, and we're just out there having fun, getting to play. Like, it's not so precious. There's a freedom to working this way that like I love so much more than the like, okay, we're trying to, I don't know, it just, when the machine becomes too big, I mean, it's wonderful in a lot of ways, but it weirdly becomes way less interesting as an artist if your only job is just to be an actor and like be in some remote trailer for all day. Like, this just feels like, oh, right, we're like friends who are hanging out in a beautiful, you know, for a lot of it, like what is that, a lake in Connecticut? It just was like, yeah, with people that I want to be hanging out with. It was awesome. So I would just wish, that's to me like the dreamiest part of this. That's how I wish all projects were.
Yeah, independent filmmaking is the best. I mean,
yeah,
the bonds you make, the family you grow, and yeah, it's just awesome. Yeah, I'll try to stop saying, when did you this?
No, it's not you. It's just, it's the way my brain, I have no idea. But yeah. I must say I really am a fan of you guys at Tallgrass and your taste, because I had another film that came through Tallgrass called Here Alone that was the same exact sort of dream project that was like just a bunch of kids like out in a remote location and like having fun and making movies. And I just feel like that's how I wish all movies.
And she won a big award.
But I'm just saying that that's a fun way to work. It's how I was the dreamiest.
That's awesome. What was your experience like on this scrappy production, Luis?
I totally second a lot of the stuff that Lucy said. I also don't quite remember where I came on. I read a version of the script, maybe in a different part at some point. And then Walker and I went to grad school together. We both got MFAs in acting at UCSD. He graduated the year before I did, and then I graduated the following year. But while we were there at the same time, we acted in several shows together, just coincidentally. So we developed like a friendship and a creative partnership and like a shorthand, which helped us in this film because I played kind of his confidant in the film. And then that also kind of helped because he had that relationship with Dennis. They've been working together for years. And so I, unlike Lucy, who's much more experienced on camera acting than I am, most of my experience is in theater, I came on kind of not really knowing what I was getting into, but it helped to kind of walk into something that these guys had a shorthand. They've been working together for years, and it was like a warm environment. And my relationship with Walker, I think, really, really helped. Like, that was easy. Then it was just like, you know, handling the script that was really, really great, and I really, really liked, and finding the fun and humor and connection in it, because the film is the hard about connection.
I would like to point out that working with good people, I think, is so important, and something that I know we try to do every single time. And when you work with good people who want to collaborate and actually want to be a part of the vision and the journey, I feel like you get the best product out of that. You get the best film out of that. So, and then I also want to point out that when Walker was writing, we're always talking about who we want. And we're so thankful for both Luis and Lucy for doing it, because we had Lucy in mind for sure since the beginning. But then Walker decided to take on the casting director hat, and he just knocked it out of the park. I think every single person besides Walker and Lucy were people that Walker either scouted or knew or just heard about or whatever, but they were all the right people, and they all brought so much energy, and they were all so kind and so wonderful to work with. So just want to acknowledge Walker as this secret wizard casting director.
And it should be acknowledged for being such a great director that everybody wants to work with you multiple times. So
you guys made it easy, but thank you.
That's awesome. So is that how you get the lead role? You just make yourself the casting director, and then you're the title of the film?
Never again would be too soon. No,
that's a lot of hats.
I never wanted to be the casting director. There are a lot of jobs in this project that I never wanted to do. I think like when it all comes down to is like the writer really kind of screwed us in a way, you know, because, there's this adage of, independent filmmaking. We talked a lot about independent film today, and you want to, what is it? It's limited locations. It's limited cast. It's like present day. It's all, keep it contained, right? And then the more things you add, the more. So then when this writer adds in, he adds in a dog, and boats, not a boat, boats. He adds in over 30 locations, over 40 speaking parts.
Like 30 costume changes. Costumes from the 80s. This writer was insane. And so I want to thank everyone who's on screen here. Like people came and went in terms of off to other jobs, off to doing wigs on Broadway, on Tony nominated shows on Broadway, Emmy nominated shows, and going off to do. Luis at one point went off and did a show in San Diego, and we needed him for this shot, and so we brought him back. There's all these really wild things that happened that just kind of everyone was really game to jump in, and regardless of the casting director hat or not, my hat goes off to all of you.
Missed my opening night party.
Oh,
True. That is true. He did for us.
Yeah.
sacrifices had to be made, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man. So you guys all know each other, you know, in one way or another. Before you get into this, so you know, something that just really kind of takes my breath away in this, you know, is Lucy, is your performance. Really, there's so many levels to this thing, and it goes so many places that I just want to commend you that it's really intense what you were able to pull off on screen. So, I mean, how do you go about even putting yourself in that place? Because, I mean, I know people will watch this after they've watched the film, hopefully, but I'm trying to kind of stay out of like super spoiler territory. But this film goes places towards the end that will just kind of leave you kind of breathless. So, I mean, how do you even prepare for a role like that?
First off, thank you. That's very generous of you to say. I really don't think I can take any credit for it. I do think it's just the environment that they all set, which is that there never felt like there was any pressure, anything. It was just like, yeah, let's get in there and play. Do you know, like all of and when you have the space to just be present and to just let it come out different ways, like you almost don't have to I think one of the reasons I like working this way is that I am such an over preparer about this craft, you know, in a lot of ways, because it just sort of feels like that's your job. There's like so much money at stake, and like you have to know exactly what you're doing because you only get a few takes. And like I always sort of feel like I have to know exactly what I'm going to do and like nail it, and so that I can feel like a professional. And there is this beautiful way of working where I felt like every scene we were in conversation about it. I felt like an actual artistic collaborator. And so because of that, I don't know, you get to invest, you get to feel like it's just a different experience. And then because of that, because we're so comfortable with each other at this point, there is ease. And so I find it way easier to find that sort of ineffable thing. I mean, our only job really as an actor is just to be present. And for some reason, working this way, it's not for some reason, it's a very specific thing that I'm unable to articulate fully, but it allows the breathing room to be able to find presence. And I think that is a real gift. And so that is, I guess what I'm trying to say is that all of those conditions were set up by this really awesome team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you had a really great director there at the helm too, willing to help everyone out. So, and Luis, I mean, you as the kind of like the straight man to the fish out of water, the kind of almost guide of sorts through this modern kind of digital age. I mean, I love your relationship immediately with Thorp, and I just thought that you were incredible as well. And I didn't question like a single thing you did throughout the film. It just all felt so unbelievably like just natural. So, I mean, you were fantastic as well. But you get to kind of play the straight guy. I mean, what did you bring to the character of Junior?
It was, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I had so much fun making this movie, and kind of in the same spirit of what Lucy was saying, that, you know, early on, Walker sent me the script, and we lived pretty close to each other in Brooklyn. And he talked about some of the ideas of behind it. And then I'd had some ideas about like how he talked and about some of the humor and some of the moments in it. So I came over to his place and we sat at his kitchen table and read through all the scenes over and over and over again. Maybe changed a word here or two or there, talked about some ideas, you know, ideas that he had, and maybe some of those scenes maybe ended up being cut, or maybe some stuff had been added, but it was pretty early on. So like that kind of collaboration, that spirit of collaboration started early on and carried through the set. And then once you get on set, that level of comfort where you can like take risks, play with things, be honest with each other. If something's not working, you want it to go in a different direction because we're friends. Like, not take it personal. Like, what we want this film to be as good as possible. So like, let's try this, or let's go in this direction. Like, and he knows my work. He's been seeing me acting for a while. He's like, why don't you take it, turn this down or turn this up, So
that's awesome.
You trust the people you're working with, and like all that stuff becomes really easy. So
yeah.
But also I think just the sort of, you're right that the film does go in some like dark territory, but I do think that sometimes there's a preciousness to that kind of world that like is suffocating. And I guess I just want to say that the climate on set was such that there was enough levity that like you could go to these dark places and it didn't, you didn't feel suffocated by it. You just felt like, great, for a second, we're gonna like see where this goes. That's fun, but sometimes it just always felt free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you are, Walker, so you are obviously, you've got all these hats you're wearing and everything throughout this film. I mean, how do you keep a childlike like wonderment about you throughout this whole thing? I mean, you were just so wonderful to watch. I just think as the lead and as this kind of bright-eyed child in a man's body. I mean, you mentioned the kids earlier. I mean, what other things did you bring to the character of Thorp?
Yeah, I mean, as Dennis already mentioned, we had that kind of sort of dry run where we did it, the sort of teaser, and then in that, I think like one of the things that was helpful was usually I like to work from the inside out and really like, but this is such a funny looking fellow, and so like with that mustache that I had to have for far too long, and then I felt like the key really was, at some point we found like Thorp's voice, and that it was just a little like higher than my natural register, but then I think really the key was like the wig and the headband, and you like Liz did an amazing job with this wig, and she custom designed it for my head, and we talked a lot about what it could potentially be, and Tom Selleck was a huge reference, and so I felt like I remember several times on set turning to Dennis and saying, is this too much, or am I like off here? Because it was like a very fine line, and he was like, I'll let you know. Like he's like, you're slipping right back into it, and I remember I wasn't like, this is what I do to get into Thorp, but I do remember like I would often like look and catch my reflection in a mirror somewhere, and I would just see this thing, and I'd be like, well, I guess this is what we're doing.
There's a lot of running backwards and a lot of pancakes. I mean, how do you keep that physique? I guess it's equal parts pancakes and running backwards.
Ooh, that pancake day was tough. Yeah. almost as tough as the ice cream day. I don't know.
Oh,
it was worse. But the running backwards, actually, I trained for that at the gym in New York on treadmills, and got a lot of funny looks. But it's much easier on a treadmill than when you're going backwards and your director doesn't tell you cut and you run into a parked car.
What?
Not that I'm like
that happened.
The bus here.
That happened. Okay, we got now. Let's get some dirt. No,
my tea over here.
Well, Liz, incredible wig, because you mentioned wigs, being a wig artisan, and didn't even put two and two together until he just mentioned that was a gloriously sculpted wig. So great work there. That was a killer mullet. So you've got all this talent in your stable and everything, Dennis. Was this your first feature?
Yeah,
that you directed?
It was.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be able to work on a feature actually, that's where I met Walker back in college. As a junior, we made a Western in South Dakota, and we all took on different roles. And the movie was broken up into 4 parts. So technically, I worked on a part of that and shot a part of that. So that doesn't, that was more of a learning experience and all that. But this is actually the first feature. But yeah, I did meet Walker there, and that's where our journey began back in 2000.
Dates don't matter, right?
1983.
Yeah, 1989.
Well, that's awesome. So so you get into this. You've obviously you worked on a feature and everything, but was there a moment or 2 or 4 or 18 where you go, well, this is a bad idea, I shouldn't have done this? Or is it pretty smooth?
Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one to answer. I think there were a lot of, what the hell are we doing? And that happened a lot. But I don't think, I mean, these guys can jump in, but I don't think we were ever at a point where we didn't think it would not, like, I think we all believed it would happen. But it probably would have been better if we had shot it over like 30 days instead of 2.5 years.
So it was shot over 2.5 years?
Yeah, it was on and off, and that's just that indie spirit. You do what you can when you can. People have to go do other things and come back, and you have to keep working at it. And it was the only way we could do it, I think, for as little money as possible.
I'm pretty sure my hair changed.
Yeah, because nobody notices that.
Details.
I mean, we only had a great editor, so it kind of helped that as well, with Dennis being the editor as well.
Oh, okay. That helps.
I think Walker's physique changed throughout the process. Thorp was very, very built and muscular for some things, and maybe not so much for others.
And then he ate too much pancakes, and he didn't go to the gym for a couple months, and then all of a sudden we're having to shoot a shirtless scene, and
oh man,
throwing some shade.
Yeah, wow.
That's insane. Well, I am positive. I'm positive that if my friends and I, when we finally make a feature, it will take us roughly 3 years to do it. And I'm fine with that, because, you get to get the gang back together and shoot some stuff. So then you edited this. The editing is top notch. The cinematography is beautiful. The color, the music is what really gets me, because I'm shamelessly into all of this new retro synthwave stuff. So from the very opening sequence, I was just hooked. I think it gives this kind of levity to the film.
That's great to hear, and shout out to our guy Jarkko from Finland, who's been scoring ever since our Western that we did. He's been scoring since then, and he did some weird and amazing, I think, music. So it's really cool to hear you say that.
And then I love the fact that, amidst all of this stuff, you guys, you had mentioned it earlier, Walker, that you were able to really kind of put this message in there that it really, really kind of hits me about, this kind of loss of innocence, this loss of connection with people. And it's such a weird time now where it seems like everyone you see now is through a screen, and everyone's just trying to stay connected when they're all kind of closed off in their own quarantine world. I just think that idea that, you can be so connected, so seemingly connected to everyone, but so far apart and so also distant is I think a really interesting message to have as a through line to the film.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that too, about what is the feeling we want people to come out in the end with, and but yeah, it's a roller coaster ride, and there's some big shifts in the latter half of the film, but that hopefully ultimately, at the end of the film, if there's a day again when we're seeing this in person, or Tallgrass where people be in their cars, but that at the end, you don't immediately pick up your phone and just go and and zone out, or Thorp out, as we like to call it. My family still calls each other on their Thorping moments. But that, you know, that there's that like real moment where you like stop and just are a little more present in the world and present with the people you love.
Yeah. I find myself trying to make that point, to be present and put the phone down, but then I feel like I'm just ignoring all of the people that are trying to reach out to me. So there's definitely a balance there. I like that Luis was, you know, the character of Junior was kind of like, no, this thing's great. Like, you can do anything with this phone. It's awesome. Like, and so you kind of had that other side of the coin.
He was so great with that too. Just a little quick shout out to Luis. Like, we talked a lot about that, and like, I think without that, you could fall into the territory of being like preachy, this bad, and that you know, he talked about, like, I think some of the lines that made it into the film were things that he'd come up with that were based off of like his own experiences or family or this, that, and the other, and some of those things were really. It was just really cool because you could tell it was very personal, and that I feel like he brought himself in there in a way that, you know, really made you could see both sides of the coin.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, you know, I won't keep you all day, but you mentioned watching the film at Tallgrass. I'm sorry?
Oh, so I was going to say, is this six hours? You have it?
Yeah, 6.5. No biggie. Yeah, we're gonna do a live script reading here in just a second. That's a surprise. Check your emails.
Which there's only 70 versions.
You're all playing different characters. So yeah, I'm really excited that we get to feature Thorp in our dusk to dawn drive-in extravaganza happening in here in old Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any, like, did you go to drive-ins as a kid? Do you have any like fond memories, or is it not a thing for you?
Yeah, actually the high school that I graduated from, Garrett High School in Garrett, Indiana, has a drive-in. And that was a thing that we all did, was go to the drive-in. So they were very popular in Indiana. So I'm actually very excited that this is going to be the first screening and experience through a drive-in. And yeah.
That's really cool. Anyone else frequent the drive-ins as a youngster? No?
Well, they've made a real comeback during COVID. There's one up the street in Brooklyn where I am, just waiting to get my car. But you can bicycle to them.
Oh,
yeah.
Grab a chair, bring a little chair on your back or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to them growing up with my dad and my sister and the minivan, and definitely falling asleep at some point during probably the second screening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm very curious to see what Wichitonians, Wichitans,
Wichitans. Yeah, I think that's right.
To see what the Wichitans in their cars think about Thorp on the big screen.
They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it. We got a whole night of craziness. I mean, we got you. We got Puppy Love. We've got a horror movie called Uncle Peckerhead this year for like the midnight slot. That is insane. We've got, and then we're showing like American Werewolf in London 4K restoration, and Rock and Roll High School, and it's like the list goes on and on. So I'm really excited to have Thorp as part of that, and it's super exciting. I'm excited to camp out in my car all night and stuff. So I guess then, you know, so what's up next? What's everyone's plans next? Liz, you getting into another producerial role in more feature films?
Not a feature. Walker and I are starting to work on another short. But that's kind of it right now. I just finished filming Diana musical that was on Broadway for Netflix. So I was in a bubble for 3 weeks doing that. That was hair. That was not producing. I'm the associate wig designer and head of department for that. So I was doing that, and then actually the day I went into the bubble, the Diana bubble, the day that you all sent us the email that we were selected for the Tallgrass Film Festival. So it was a pretty big accomplishing day. But yeah.
Very exciting. What's next on your plate, Dennis?
Yeah, good question. Some writing. Hopefully Walker and I can come up with a new idea. I think that would be pretty fun. I just finished a project in the fall that I'm really proud of. It's a 17th century piece. It's called Rumors of War that we just finished up, and that will start hopefully making the festival rounds. But other than that, yeah, just writing, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just now realizing that this is a tough question for everyone in this industry right now. Like, what do you got going on? Well, whatever I can, I guess, from home. Luis, what's happening with you? What do you got going on up next?
I just want to say I saw the preview for Rumors of War and it looks great. Dennis.
Oh, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm trying not to die right now.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
and as the industry theater is really on hold for, it looks like a while, feels like the safe and right thing to do. But it feels like the film and TV is starting to thaw. So I'm starting to get more and more auditions. And once I figure out what I'm doing next, I'll let you know.
Awesome. Walker, what do you got going on other than the short and swimming?
Yeah, I've got like way too many things going on right now. I'm working on like rewrites on I think 3 separate features right now, and they're all in like various stages of development. And then yeah, I'm writing a TV pilot based on my experience recently during quarantine working on a ganja farm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, random. And then a couple shorts. And then, yeah, just I think I'm still an actor. Yeah, that's the thing I forget a lot. But yeah, occasional audition here and there. But I'm really like focusing a lot of energy on a bunch of big writing projects.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And Lucy, what's happening with you? I know you said it's tough right now, but
Here we go. Oh no, can't. There, good.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, she's a Luddite. Yeah, God, way back in March, I was starting to film a pilot that was going to shoot in New York, and I was like so excited because that's always the dream. I do so much of my work out of town, and I was like, there's gonna be one in town. And then like 3 days into that production, the whole world stopped. So that was cool. Now I am about to head upstate in 2 days to get in the rabbit hole with another crew, and this time with the added element of COVID. So, probably something I wouldn't have done if I like lived with people, but at this point, actors gotta act. I gotta do it. I feel like as long as I'm not putting anybody else at risk, we're supposedly doing rapid testing and like wearing masks. I mean, they're doing all SAG protocols, but this is a new frontier, and I am gonna let you know how it goes. But it'll be a very, very scrappy film in like Troy, New York, which is actually very near where we shot the other one that went to Tallgrass that I was just referencing. So, this seems to be my stomping ground. And then, like Luis said that things are actually just now supposedly starting to like kind of pick up. So trying to stay hopeful that we can just survive to the end of this thing and not lose our, minds and creativity until then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Stay hopeful, stay healthy.
Yeah. I'm really impressed that you guys are doing this festival in these times. I love how creative you're being about it. It's really, really awesome. And I appreciate that you're putting together these Zoom panels for us.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you. I couldn't do it without all of you being here. Honestly, everyone would be tired of hearing me talk at a certain point. So, yeah, no, Tallgrass has been very different this year, but we're really excited to get ready to launch this whole thing and show off all these amazing independent films and short films and stuff to everyone. So it's, we're doing what we can to keep pushing stubbornly independent cinema out there. And I'm so happy to have Thorp as part of it this year. I wish we were doing this in person because our festival is such a great opportunity to party and network and have fun and everything. So I told hospitality we're gonna have to double our budget next year so we can bring back everyone from this year.
Yes.
Hang out. So I'll just put it out there. You're all formally invited.
Yes.
I'll make sure there's a pool in the hotel, Walker.
My next COVID film.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival. I've had a blast talking to the folks from Thorp here, and I hope you enjoy the film as much as I do. So thank you guys so much.
Ryan.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks for
Thank you,
having us.
Ryan.
Bye.